because it associates for me it's patterns. So when I see a person behave in a certain way, I assign it a color, and then when I look at that person, I say, oh, orange, you're orange. Oh, blue, how are you, blue? And so for me, going to college was all about pattern recognition. I knew exactly what the professors wanted. I recognized their pattern of grading and what was important to them, and I served them exactly what they wanted. So for me, even getting a doctorate is just about pattern recognition. I've been going to postgraduate school for 8 years without a break, every semester, including summer sessions. And I don't know, I don't want to get Alzheimer's or dementia, and I feel like it's keeping my brain plastic, and I don't know. They're paying for it, so what the hell? I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'll probably go to medical school. Yeah, I'll be a dentist. That might be fun. But what was I talking about? Thanks for the tangent. That was fun. I don't remember what I'm saying. I also have some memory loss, so that doesn't help. About working in this industry, right? So you don't have to have a college degree. You do have to have practical knowledge and how to do data analysis. I use things like Excel like crazy, Power BI, a lot of programs that you can learn for free at either Khan Academy on YouTube, where you can just, I'll be honest with you, guys, God, I bet a third of my day is just answering questions that I go to YouTube and I look up a video on how to do it. Honest to God. Now, you guys know my wife, Mary Thompson? Does anybody have her class? She's an English teacher.
They have us.
Okay. So, my wife's an English teacher. She loves Subarus. She's got like a Subaru thing. I don't know what it is. I could care less what car it's driving as long as the heat comes on. It's got Sirius XM, and it will go fast when I say go fast, right? But she loves Subarus. Well, Subaru headlight assemblies, right, as we know, cannot always be simple. Sometimes it can be really complicated. You know, for a Subaru, you have to pull the front wheel off to change the headlight. It's insane, right? You have to actually take the fairing out from the wheel well to get up. Anyway, I did not want to pay $250 for a new headlight, so I just Googled it, found a YouTube video, and I did it myself. Now, I'll grant you, one of her headlights points forward and the other one points far to the left, so if there's ever a deer coming from the left, she's covered. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is you have such a wealth of knowledge available at your fingertips that it's really on you to either ask somebody, which I think is kind of the cheap way out, or you can teach yourself how to do it based on online videos. For most of what I did for the first 2 or 3 years, it was all just online videos. Somebody would say, hey, I need to identify audience X out of this, what we call a data lake, which is where we take all of those 300 points from your transaction and everybody else's transactions, and we put that on one server. That's called a data lake. And then I had to figure out how to filter all of this data to get this audience, because does anybody know Sinvar Roofing? You ever heard of them?
Advertise all the time.
Yeah, they're real big in Roanoke, right? Sinvar wanted a very specific audience, so I had to take this huge data pool and narrow it down to people I knew fit their mold, and then serve them ads. And then once the ads were served, I had to figure out how many people reacted to it. And out of all the people that reacted to it, I then had to filter out all the people who actually submitted information so a salesperson could talk to them. Then I had to take that information and narrow it down to people they actually sold. And then of the people they actually sold, I had to go back and I had to filter that down to how much profit did they make and whether it was worth it. And then I had to collate that data with how much they spent on advertising so that I could determine something called ROI, return on investment. I spent $5,000 on ads with you, Kit, and I made $250,000 in profit. So that's a very positive ROI. The fact that you possess behaviors and that you demonstrate things you don't even know, yes, sir.
So does your company make the 250 grand, or do you?
No, I don't make it. Oh God,
I was getting ready to say.
I make 5% of what they make.
Okay, that's
So is it like
yes.
commission?
Part of it is I get a salary plus a commission, and my commission goes up based on how accurate my predictions are. So in essence, I kind of gamble. Huh? Right? Depends on how much effort I want to put in. So, what's this barbecue place next door?
Buddy?
To be determined barbecue.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I think it's like Rocky Mountain.
Rocky Mountain
Smokehouse?
Rocky Mountain Smokehouse, I
Is
think.
that what they named it?
Is
That
it
used to be Buddy's Barbecue
Yeah,
to be over in
rebranded.
right?
They were
So-
copyright issues in North.
Buddy's has one location. I would probably ask them to spend about $1,500 a month on advertising. Then I would filter out of all of you and your parents and everyone else in Franklin County, Bedford County, and Campbell County. I would look for people who like non-QSR restaurants. Anybody want to guess what QSR stands for?
I'm guessing like bigger restaurants.
Oh,
I didn't say it.
what is it?
What? Oh,
What?
I didn't. No, you said it.
I didn't say anything.
Well, I don't want to say it with confidence.
Siri heard it anyway, don't worry about it, I'll find it later.
Oh,
Quick-
you're making
It's,
my theory come on.
By the way, it's quick service restaurant, right?
I was right.
QSR, it was quick, now everybody wants credit
Should
for
just
it,
owned
right?
up to it.
You should have.
QSR means quick service restaurant, so people who go to non-QSR restaurants. I'm looking for people who live within 30 miles of that restaurant, because that's typically the range in which you'll go to a restaurant, even if it's really good, about 30 miles. For me, it's like you have Instacart or Uber Eats. And those are the two things I rely on. And then I want to know what kind of car you drive. I want to know roughly what's in your bank account, how much you make a year, because what tends to happen is people who have a household income over $75,000, and that counts everybody in the house, right? So it's the mom, it's the dad, and it can even be the kid if he contributes. I want to know that, and then what I'll do is I'll target those individuals, and I'll pound them with television ads, streaming ads on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and then I'll also hit them on their mobile device based on their geography. Do they pass within 2 miles of it? Do I serve them an ad? What social media do they use? I need to filter money into that. And that's all I do all day, every day, 5-6 days a week. That's all I do. If it's Sinvar Roofing, then I want houses that people have owned for over 10 years, likely to have a roof failure. I want people who may have suffered from a catastrophic weather event. I want to make sure they have household income. I want to make sure they have house insurance on their home. And so all I do all day is to talk to people who own businesses, determine who their audience is, harvest all of your data and everyone else's data, and then try to filter it out so that it matches this target that I want to hit.
Teachers, pardon this interruption. At this time, I'm going to ask that teachers not allow any student outside of your classroom. That would mean to the office, restroom, or any other location on campus temporarily. The only exception to that will be seniors who will be going to the auditorium to have a senior picture taken. Those students will have a pass that they can present and go to the auditorium.
That being said, what can you do to protect yourself? And do you want to be protected? Do you care? The vast majority of your generation says, I don't care. I don't care that you're harvesting my data. I don't care that you're targeting me with ads. And I think that's valid. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for thinking that. Because in essence, and this argument has been made a lot in the past and it's been abused, but if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to hide, all right? I do not want to get ads for handbags. I do not want to get ads for birth control. I don't want to get ads for dresses and women's shoes. Because what happens if I order something from Zulily, which I did 2 years ago? I ordered my wife a handbag. Well, I sort of threw a big kink in my data profile, and now I am constantly hit with ads for Zulily, right? But she got a handbag 2 years ago. I'm not that nice a guy. I'm not going to buy another one for a while, right? So did that skew my results? Yes. What do I want ads for? I want ads for sporting goods. I want them for things for my boat. I want them for artificial intelligence coursework that I can take on my own. I want it for vintage video games, right? Because that's what I'm into. So those are the ads I want to see because I'm more likely to take action, and it sort of enriches my life in order to see those things. If you were to loan your phone to your mom or your dad or your aunt or your uncle or your grandparents and they start looking stuff up on your phone, it's going to significantly throw off your algorithm, your data lake. It's going to really confuse it. You'll start getting ads for Metamucil and cholesterol-lowering medication and orthotic shoes, right? Which are not appropriate to you. So in my eyes, the fact that my company and other companies all around the country harvest my data is beneficial to me. I don't have a problem with it. When it gets creepy for me is this watch, right? So my Apple Watch measures my pulse constantly. It knows if I fall and it can dial 911. It knows where I go, when I go there, how long I stay there, where I go next. It also has the ability to do an EKG on my heart electrical rhythms and know whether or not I'm having a heart attack. Am I thrilled that Apple knows all of that and keeps it on file? No, but I had a heart attack 2 years ago, and I fell over and almost died. So do I like that Apple will call 911 if I fall and bonk my head and have another heart attack? Yeah, I'm pretty cool with that, because it's better than the alternative. So in your minds, you've got to look at weights and measures of, am I receiving benefit from having my data harvested versus trying to protect myself? Now I can tell you how you can eliminate all data on yourself. Everything that's ever been tracked on you, I can tell you how to get rid of incriminating evidence on your phones or your laptops. I can tell you how to figure out what they know about you and how long they've known it and what they're doing with it. Do you really want to know that? Really? How many people want to know how to do that?
I'm just curious.
I'll tell you the easiest way to do it first is to close all of your social media accounts. And I don't mean pause them, I mean close them. You need to take your cell phone, you need to take either a drill press or an actual hand drill. You need to drill through it about 5 times, all the way through it, through the glass, all the way through. You need to take the SIM card out and eat it. Okay, or throw it in the lake, whichever, a very deep part of it, like up by the cliffs. Deep. You need to take your laptop, you need to drill through it about every 6 inches with a drill all the way through it. You need to never get another cell phone. You need to never get back on the internet. You need to move to a country that is probably like, I would say, if you're going to move somewhere, maybe Panama, and you'll be safe. We will not target you with ads. Is it worth it? I like Panama. I spent 6 months there when I was in the Army. It's a very pleasant environment. But the reality is that you're always going to have some digital footprints and you're going to have some traces that are going to go on. Where I think we have to develop a skill set is in something called critical thinking. My dad is 85. He just had his hip replaced and he got COVID and flu A while he was in the hospital. He went to the hospital and got sick, which, that's the opposite of what you want. But my dad is really funny because when he got home, the first thing he did was turn on Fox News, right? And every time Fox News goes to a commercial, my dad goes to CNN or MSNBC. And then as soon as they go into commercial, he goes back to Fox News. And this is what I call the self-validating theory. He goes to Fox News and he thinks, God, what are they doing? Oh, why are they doing that? Oh, that Joe Biden. And then he goes over to MSNBC and he sees like Rachel Maddow or somebody like that on it. He goes, you see? So he actually goes during the commercial break to get pissed off And then he goes back to Fox News and says, see, I told you. Did you see what those idiots were talking about? Now they're talking about. Did you know that Fox News and MSNBC and CNN have offset commercial breaks so that people will do that? It's almost like a horrific game of tennis. It's like, oh, oh. And it's like that all night, you know? And I think what happens is, in critical thinking skills, we have to realize when we're being influenced. We have to realize what's the end goal of being influenced. So in the terms of the news, and I work a lot with news programming, does anybody know the #1 goal of all news? And I mean WDBJ7, WSET, WSLS, Fox, GSR, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, Newsmax. What is their #1 goal? And it's an emotion, by the way. Let me narrow it down. What is it?
Sensationalism?
That's a key component. There's one other emotion. Did you guys ever watch that movie where all of the little girls' emotions were in her head and they all had their own personalities? It was a Pixar movie, right?
Wait, Inside Out.
No.
Yeah. It's fear. The news wants to scare you.
Yeah. Oh, fear.
And it wants to scare your parents, and it wants to make you mad, and it wants to elicit emotion. I know this, I keep talking about the old days, but we used to only have 3 television channels, ABC, NBC, and CBS, and the local news came on at 6. First of all, I got Andy Griffith at 5:30, which calmed everybody down. Mayberry.
Meditation.
Right. And then at 6 o'clock, you saw Robin Reed and Gene Jadhan and Melanie Moon and all these other people who would come on and give you local news. And then from 6:30 to 7, you watch national news, and then you watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. I've never felt older in my entire life at the lack of
They
range.
probably have never seen it.
Now the local news begins at 4 o'clock. And it goes all the way to 7. So that's 3 hours of news on a local channel. But think about CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and Newsmax and all of the other outlets that have emerged. They have to generate news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Which means that's called a news cycle. And if you watch, and I want you to pay attention, and sometime in the next week I want you to watch one of those cable news networks. And I want you to look at what they're doing. They are attempting to scare you. Because what do you do when you're scared? You pay closer attention, you release adrenaline, norepinephrine gets into your system, you get a heightened response, you're paying more attention. My God, there are crazed truckers heading for the Texas border. Now, I mean this in the most loving way possible. But who cares? Right? And I'll read stories about things that are going on all over the world, and they are important, and they may be important to you and to your family. But in reality, you have to understand you're being subtly manipulated. You're being told that this is important in your life, and you must pay attention. And after this commercial break, we're going to talk to Bob, and Bob is going to tell us why this can affect your 401k and your ability to buy a car. And you're going to freak out a little bit, and you're going to stay through that commercial break. Oh, Sinvar Roofing. Ah, geez, I do need a new roof. And I'm trying to influence your behavior there. I want you to watch for as long as you can possibly watch. How many people have Shintel cable? Not a lot. Dish or Direct? Comcast? Verizon Fios?
We had to get
I
Starlink.
don't think nobody really uses cable.
God, don't say that, please.
Well, in the county, they don't have it out past so many.
Yeah. What about, how many people just stream straight off the internet? You use like Fubo or something like that? Good God, how many people watch TV?
Like, just like regular stream, like Roku and stuff. Like who?
Yeah, like Hulu or Netflix or.
They just know the network password. They don't
know what the actual network is, my guess.
Well, that's a very good point. So for most of you, you want to watch what you want to watch, when you want to watch it. regardless of what device it's on. How many people watch the vast majority of their TV on their cell phone? How many people watch it on the big screen, like a TV 24 inches or larger, right? So how does that TV get a signal? Are you streaming?
Very carefully.
Yeah, that's smart. You should know that every device that's in your home, whether it's a cable box, whether it's a Wi-Fi router, whether it's, does anybody in here use what I call fast, free ad-supported TV like Pluto, Tubi, Zumo, any of those services? Those are becoming very popular in my world because they don't cost you anything, and they're free, and there's hundreds of channels that are available. I suggest when you go home tonight or when you get on a strong Wi-Fi signal, you look up Pluto TV. I think you'll be impressed with it. But regardless, we're able to measure, so let's take Roanoke Metro, okay, the city of Roanoke itself, where Cox Cable is. We're able to look into every cable box and tell how long people have watched what channels. Again, this data harvesting thing. What room they were in, did they fall asleep? By the way, we have a metric for whether you fell asleep during Netflix or not, right? Because what we know is basically if you don't fast forward, pause to go to the bathroom, or choose another program within a 2-hour window, we assume you fell asleep, unless the movie is 2.5 hours or longer. So we're going to harvest all of that data, and that's going to help us put the commercial in front of you when we want you to see it. The cost of a commercial changes based on what time of day we show it. If we show it between midnight and 6, it's relatively cheap. If we show it to you between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., very expensive. Over the next, what is it, February, March, April, May. For the next 3 months, you're going to be bombarded by ads for politicians. Then you're going to get a break through the summer, and then starting in about late August when you come back to school or when you graduate, you're really going to get pounded with ads. Probably 1 out of every 4 ads you see will be political in nature. Will not necessarily be for a specific candidate. It may be for legislation or for an issue. We call those issue-related campaigns. In Virginia right now it's women's health. It's student debt relief, and it's looking at political parties and influence that we want you to be subject to. My strongest suggestion to you moving forward is to understand that your data is being harvested and be very careful about how you access information on the web. Does anybody know what incognito mode is? Everybody sort of subtly nods at incognito mode because they don't want to admit that they tried to use it. Incognito mode was supposed to be a mode in Google that didn't record what websites you went to, how long you were there, what content you consumed. Why are all the guys smiling? The reality is incognito mode. It just turned your background to black. It didn't do anything. They still recorded all your information. It just meant that it wasn't readily accessible from your device. But please know that everything you did in incognito mode was recorded. Yeah. And yeah, well, look, we live in a very different world. And the reality is that there really is no privacy at this point relative to your electronic devices. Does anybody on their laptop have that little slide that blocks the camera?
I think that was Chromebooks do, don't they?
No, they don't. You
Really?
can bill for it.
Buy some tape, all right? With relative ease, any decent hacker can access your camera, turn it on, record, can take over most of what you do on your computer. There are entire school systems in Virginia who have had all of their data breached and been
That
held
would be us.
hostage.
Yeah, it's us.
Oh, you guys got that too?
Yeah, we got last spring.
Last spring,
Ransomware?
we had
Really?
ransomware.
Yeah, so they would know
School down.
they would know your grades, they would know where you live, they would know all of your demographic data, your height, sex, weight.
Why would they want to do that? That's what I'm Like, what do they gain from that?
That's a good question.
They want money.
So what could, but the idea is what happens if we don't pay the money? I mean, what are they gonna do with it, right?
Change our grades.
What they can do,
Blackmail.
not to be mean about it, but what they could do is if they get access to your social security number, your address, we could submit a change of address form to an overseas, we could apply for credit cards in your name, we could wreck your life pretty bad. Is it gonna happen? How many of you have seen, do you know what a starling bird is? It's a little teeny black bird, right? And sometimes when we go out in the fall, we can see these giant clouds of birds that are moving in these amazing patterns. We also see it with sardines in the ocean, these massive amounts of fish that are schooling. And it seems like, dude, it's freaking crazy, man. The way that it just seems to be like it's alive. It's a giant blob that's moving. I take some comfort in being a sardine, right? Shark's probably not gonna get me, right? And if I'm a starling, probably not gonna hit that power line the wrong way, right? Because I got 400 other birds around me, and when somebody gets fried, I'm gonna get out of the way. But the reality is that there was a guy whose name was Shane Gillis. How many people know who Shane Gillis is? Yeah, okay, that guy knows.
I've heard something.
So Shane Gillis was a stand-up comedian. He was hired to be a cast member on SNL 3 years ago during the height of the Me Too movement. Shane Gillis was getting ready to go to 30 Rock to appear on SNL as a cast member when somebody pulled up a podcast from 3 years earlier where he had used some racial epithets and some, frankly, pretty harsh language that probably wasn't appropriate. He was fired before he could even appear on stage. Shane Gillis is getting ready to be the host of SNL in late February. What can we learn from that? One, anything that you've ever put online is accessible. If you are a Division I athlete, recruit, like let's say that you want to play basketball for Duke, they are going to go through and look at every social media post you've ever put up. They are going to go through and look at some of your purchase history that's public to see what you bought and when you bought it. If you applied to law school or med school, sometime in the future, they're going to go through all your social media history. They're going to look for patterns of behavior that would make you a bad representative of that university. If you ever want to run for public office, like board of supervisors, school board, anything like that, know immediately that people are going to be going through all of your posts looking for anything that you might have said 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago that could be used against you. If you're applying for a job that requires any level of security clearance, when I got my top secret clearance, they went back and talked to a judge who had convicted me of a speeding ticket in 1986. That's how far back they went. They're going to look at your credit history, they're going to look at your search history, they're going to look at your social media posts, they're going to look at who you associate with online, the comments you may have made that have a political bent. And they will do all of that because you've left these digital footprints. Good news is most of you are under 18, too late for you, sorry. But as you move forward from the age 18 forward, you need to be incredibly careful. Every one of your social media accounts need to be set to private so that just anybody can't stalk you. How many people have stalked an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend on the internet just to see what they're, thank you. I appreciate your honesty.
Those people are honest.
By the way, I still do it, and that was like 35 years ago.
It really, yeah.
You know, I mean, look, for grown-ups, when we get to this point, we're like, golly, man, she was awesome. Especially when you're in a fight with your wife.
Miss Wheeler.
I'm just saying.
People like too, she was not a loud laugher.
Sometimes you just want to know. You're not going to do anything, but you just want to know.
I tried to find one of my
Take all of your accounts and set them to private. Anytime you send a Gmail or you use Google Drive, don't write anything in an email you wouldn't say out loud. Don't put any comment on an Instagram post. I'm telling you right now, I have a terrible addiction.
Oh,
At last count, I spend roughly 3 hours a day on TikTok.
oh, it's bad, me too. Same.
I always make my kids look at how much their usage is and what app they use the most.
I don't know, excuse my language here, I don't know what the hell is in the TikTok sauce, but, I mean, I can't stop. Honest to God,
What kind
it's
of
babies that fart,
I don't know.
Okay.
It goes wrong. His
farting babies, anything with a cat, right?
Aww.
People just absolutely crashing. Any kids getting shot with a Nerf gun?
Oh my God.
Do you see, like, when you're scrolling on TikTok, you know how, like, the ads come up? Do you see those and you're like, huh, because, like, you know what's going on?
Yeah, and beyond that, you know what I do that's even worse than that?
You've curated
I
the ad for
screenshot all of the ads, and then I go to them and try to get them off TikTok and buy from me.
Nice.
Oh, that's smart.
That's creepy,
Have
but
you
it
ever
works.
curated an ad and then you saw it? Is
Yes.
that weird when that happens? Is it cool?
So I used to work, the way I got into this business, I used to be a school teacher, right? I was terrible at it. I mean, oh my God, I was the worst teacher you've ever had. And you probably had a couple bad teachers in your life, but you didn't have one as bad as me, right? I let the kids call me by my first name. Oh, that pissed off every other teacher in the building, because they could call me Kip, and I didn't really care. Anyway, to your point, yes, I have placed ads, and I used to work for a guy who owned a Cadillac dealership, and he used to come up to me and say, Kip, I never see my ads. And I kind of told him, I said, Barry, I don't want you to see ads. You own the damn dealership. I'm not trying to sell you a Cadillac. You've got 3 of them in your driveway. So when I get served an ad, I want to make sure it's the right ad for me, or I question what my behavior online is that triggered me to receive that ad. And brother, let me tell you something, TikTok is really good when it makes an algorithm. I mean, it is really good. You know, people in the military cannot have TikTok on their military-issued cell phones because they're tracing the geographic location, and they can actually tell where we deploy troops, what type of troops they are, where they're stationed, what their mission is, and how long they're going to be there. That's pretty creepy, especially since it's owned by a Chinese holding company. Not that there's anything wrong with the Chinese, but in general, it's just not good to say, hey, we're over here with missiles, guys. Big missiles. So TikTok is probably the most addictive thing, but how has TikTok affected your behavior? First of all, can you concentrate on anything over 3 minutes?
No, I can't even focus on anything that is 3 minutes.
Yeah, when they went to the 3-minute rule, that kind of threw me. I will tell you this, I'm watching a lot of car repair videos now that is 3 minutes, and I watch this guy that works in a Honda garage and he does oil changes on Hondas, and now I'm going to buy a Honda.
Just so you do
Because
it.
I'm selling one.
Talk to me before you leave. But the thing that I got from it is that I'm starting to see content creators who deal with Honda repairs. And it's telling me what to look out. I know on a Honda at around 70,000 miles to 120, I need a new timing chain and water pump. Typically, I need that replaced, right? That happens a lot on Hondas. Nissans, I'm not going to buy a Nissan, right?
What? What's wrong with Nissan?
Really? Hey, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, it seems like it. I love.
I'm just saying.
talking around in the Ultima.
Mm-hmm.
An Ultima's probably, the Ultima and the
Maximus.
one they say is not great is the Versa.
Yeah, that one, I want to get that one.
Really?
Which one?
The Nissan Juke has got to be the ugliest vehicle I've ever seen. Well, it really does.
So it's funny you say the Juke is the ugliest car ever made. To me, it looks like a wooden clog. You know that shoe they have in Denmark?
Wait, what does?
I know, Nissan Juke.
What about the little Kia Souls?
Oh, the
No
Kia
offense to
Soul.
driving Kia Soul, but I think they are.
No, but offense if you do drive a Kia Soul. Because
Hopefully nobody in here does.
I was trying to choose
Let me ask you this, when you see a Kia Soul, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
I think
What
the Kia
about
Soul
Olympics?
I just think like why?
Think about logos, think
I
about,
saw this TikTok.
you remember the hamster?
It was a little Kia Soul, but it had like wrap on it.
Yeah.
And it was like, have you ever heard of a beatbox? Like not like, but like the beverage. Probably not, but it was
No.
wrapped in that, and it was like a rainbow, and I was like, who? It was funny to be honest, but I hate Kia Souls.
So I'm gonna call out
Aggressive.
about 5 brands, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when it comes to that brand. Okay, Progressive.
Flow.
oh yeah, it's so
Yeah.
What is it? Bad. You've had an experience there, right? Did you leave a review online? Can I give you another piece of advice?
I would never say this out loud.
Every time you have a good or bad experience, leave a Google review. Take the time to do it. And don't be mean just because like your ex works there and you want to, so somebody's done
What
that.
happened was,
Ian, I'm questioning.
Be
I
very
actually have never done
specific.
that.
Be very specific in the review that you leave, and be very cognizant of the fact that it should be read and responded to within 24 hours. Okay? Now you may say, well, that's going to leave a digital footprint. That's true. But from a business owner's perspective, knowing the good and the bad of their business, if you saw a business that had 5-star reviews, would you trust it?
yeah.
Why? Who said no?
Because they probably fluffed up their reviews.
They faked them. They didn't fluff it. They flat out
well,
lied.
I feel
A lot of businesses will pay people to do positive reviews.
I know some of this stuff.
Yeah? If you go to a business and it has a 4.7, would you trust that company more than a company with a 5-star review?
Yeah.
no.
Absolutely. You need the good and the bad, right? But what you should look for with anybody who leaves a bad Google review is how the company responded to it. Hey, we're really sorry you had that experience. Please reach out to us in our DMs and let us know what we can do to make it right.
DMs.
Well, whatever. In your response, it shows again how old I am. So Progressive, we know Flow, and this guy hates them. Okay. For Kia, it's typically the hamsters. They had a huge campaign for years where there were these breakdancing, rapping hamsters that were all over the place.
That's actually me if anybody cares.
When you think McDonald's, what's the first, and don't say the food side.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
Like the
Oh, Ronald McDonald.
How many people,
or the Grimace Shake.
as soon as you hear McDonald's, how many people hear da-da-da-da-da?
That's Justin Timberlake.
Huh?
Justin Timberlake made that.
O'Reilly
Really?
Auto Parts.
Oh, Ronnie.
I feel
Probably
like
the commercial.
when that ad was a thing, I feel like I never saw any O'Reillys anywhere. Like when it
It's
first
always
came,
in AutoZone.
I know, only auto.
O'Reilly's.
Well, you know the funny thing about the O'Reilly's jingle? Once it went viral on TikTok, they cut out 99% of their advertising because we were doing it for them for free. You know, they came up with like a remix of the O'Reilly song,
What?
and then everybody was coming up with a dance for the O'Reilly song, and then it went completely explosive viral. They pulled all their TV advertising. And you're like, why would we do that? There's no need for it.
Now I feel like I should go look up the O'Reilly dance.
How many people here wear Carhartt on a regular basis? How many people here see people wearing Carhartt and know they've never been on a farm in their entire
I see that
life?
all the time. Like, really?
How many people here have a Stanley water mug
Where's
or a
Sadie?
water cup? Yeah.
This would have been her last shot.
They're not ready. There's no way I'm the only one that has. I got like 10 of them. Come on.
Sadie isn't here. She'd been like, I have my Stanley, and then shook it.
There's a teacher that has 18. I'm like, how do you
Here?
Yes.
But why?
Yeah.
She's
But why?
addicted to Stanley Cup.
I don't get the hype.
She stands on
Me and my Amazon water bottle, we're laughing.
Like actively?
I forgot
On purpose?
How many people here remember the name of a famous cooler that blew up about 2 years ago?
The famous cooler?
Yeti, right?
Oh, yeah.
Give me a name of another cooler. Igloo?
Yeah.
Good. That's 2. Coleman is 3.
Why do you guys have
How many people go to Kroger and buy a foam cooler when they need one?
a phone cooler?
Foam?
Oh, I'm so confused. Makes sense.
All right, we're gonna do this. I've got 10. I want you to name 10 car brands.
Nissan, Kia, Honda, Toyota, Benz, or Mercedes-Benz. Is that, or Mercedes? Is that?
Porsche.
A Suzuki.
Ooh, Tesla.
What is the name?
I don't like Tesla.
BMW. All right, now I want somebody to name for me the last 10 presidents.
Donald Trump. Wait, President Biden, Donald Trump, Obama.
Ronald Reagan.
Wait, who was in front of Obama?
Okay, I think my point is,
Bush.
when I asked you for 10 car brands, you guys were flying so fast it was hard to keep pace. When I asked you the last 10 presidents,
I can tell you the first like 5 and the most recent 2, and maybe a couple in between.
that's kind of my point. If I were to ask you to name 5 things on the McDonald's menu right now.
Oh, I got you.
Cheeseburgers, McNuggets, McCrispies, McFlurries, which they never have. But
Sounds like you're a little bitter.
I am. One time I tried to go there at like. Anyway, and they were like, "No, we don't have those. The machine's broken." I was like, "That's not."
It's always broke. They do it on purpose.
Can I tell you why the machine at McDonald's is always
They
broken?
don't clean it.
It's because it has a.
Does anyone here work
It
at
has an
McDonald's?
automatic cleaning cycle. And how many different brands of ice cream machines are in McDonald's?
Only one.
Well, some of them are.
And it's a,
It's a place that doesn't have a lot of service centers nearby. So when we think about this, I want you to think about how you're being influenced, okay? If I were to ask you, God, did anybody watch the Grammys Sunday night?
I did.
Don't get me started.
Guys, what happened? Listen,
If I were to ask you 5 people that won a Grammy.
SZA, Taylor Swift. I don't know who else. That's all I really cared about.
You were just worried about you, so.
Yep, every time.
By a show of hands, how many people want to go directly to either a 2-year or 4-year university? Okay, a 2-year or 4-year university, you want to go straight to that. How many people want to go to a school that is designed to teach a specific skill or trade? That's actually brilliant. How many people here want to go directly into the workforce? You know what you're going to do, you're ready to go, you've had enough, you're ready to rock and roll. Those of you who want to go directly into the workforce, what do you want to do?
I want to do like teacher trade stuff.
So education?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What did you want to do? Road construction, okay? You know, it may seem strange from a guy who has 4 graduate degrees. My son is actually going to start learning how to weld next year. He's going to be a junior at Henry County's Bassett High School. He's going to welding school his junior year, and then he's going to go to carpentry and plumbing and electrical his senior year. And then he's going to go to Patrick Henry Community College and get his journeyman's license. And he's going to go straight to the workforce. Does that mean I don't think it's good to go to a college? No, it's right on par, equal. If you're going to learn a specific skill and you know what you want to do, I say you should go and do it and know that what you're being exposed to can help either cultivate that or dissuade you from that. I'm one of those people who had no idea what I wanted to do in my life, no clue. I joined the Army out of high school and did a pull there. I was a flight medic on a UH-1 helicopter. I ended up getting stationed in New Mexico, Central America, came out and was a nurse for a couple of years, didn't like it, went to work in television, didn't like that, became a school teacher, really didn't like that, and then fell into advertising. So For those of you who know what you want to do, know that you have tremendous resources available to you online. What do you want to do? Yeah, you're getting a technical skill?
I'm a welder.
A welder, really? TIG, STIG, or?
Stick.
All right, so employment prospects, I think you'll probably be hired before you complete the program. You'll be recruited to go to Norfolk, to the shipbuilding yards, where they're building aircraft carriers, submarines, and freight ships.
Have fun.
Conservatively, if you're really good at what you do, you're looking between $30 and $65 an hour. Probably going to make over $100,000 within 5 years. If you get into the union and you become a boiler maker working on nuclear power plants, which is going to be big in the next 5 years, you could be making anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000. If you get into underwater welding, the most terrifying welding that there is, you can write your own ticket, work 20 hours a week, and just make bucket loads of money. Things you need to be concerned about, the inhalation of xenon gas can cause neurological problems later in your life. So become really good at it and then start your own company and hire people to work for you. How many people want to go into auto mechanics?
That's what I was gonna, not that, but I was gonna do underwater welding. That's-
Yeah. And,
What is underwater welding? Maybe that's a stupid question, but I don't understand. Are you
So,
just underwater while
Welding is the process of taking two pieces of metal and joining them together so that they don't break apart,
Imagine.
right?
Yeah.
And if you can imagine you're working on an oil rig in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, 75 feet down, you're in almost complete total darkness, you're wearing a huge weighted diving suit, plus you're having to negotiate being hooked on to a line and do all the welding. It's about 100 times harder than just regular welding. And it's probably the third or fourth most dangerous job in the world. But you make a truckload of money and you can retire relatively early.
Y'all catch me down in the water.
Most dangerous job in America? Anybody know?
What is
All right, you watch way too much Discovery. All right? Most dangerous job is a rigger for cell phone towers.
That's fair, yeah. The ones that are wild.
When any job takes you above the clouds and you're hanging on by a strap, you're in trouble. Okay? Used to be crab fisherman, not anymore. It is a cell phone tower rigger, but it's also an incredible job.
Pretty darn good.
This pipeline that's going through Franklin County right now,
My mom.
which has really bugged me a lot because it's tough to drive over all the gravel. Have you noticed all the RVs that are located near where they're doing the pipelines? It's because those guys just pull their houses with them and they have their spouse with them as well. And they live a pretty good life, you know? It really depends on what you want. But my point in telling you all this is you've got to be aware of how your digital footprints can influence your ability to be hired. I'm not being glib when I tell you that Virginia is legalizing the consumption, use, and possession of some drugs that we never thought would be legalized in Virginia. But in order to do that legally, you have to apply for a card. That card becomes public record. And if you're applying for a job where the use of that substance is still prohibited, the fact that you're leaving digital footprints in terms of a card that will allow you to participate in that could hinder your ability to be hired in the future. All of this plays into it, and you can make mistakes now that you'll have to pay for way down the line. I think we've all heard the case of people who take certain pictures and then either send or receive said pictures, and it creates a very dangerous situation from a legal standpoint. You've got to know that it never forgets. It never, ever forgets. And it's always there for the person who wants to work hard enough to find it. How many people here have looked at somebody and they have 4 Facebook profiles?
4?
I mean, I've got people I went to high school with who have.
Yeah, I've seen people with like 10.
I
They
just
just
bought a
make
car.
so many for no reason.
Right, it's like they forget their password, so they just say, oh, I'll just start another
You know,
one.
I've bought four.
I guess for Instagram.
How many?
Yeah, I've bought four.
I've got my spam, my main, and then the one I use to stalk people.
No, yeah, my stalker one, I'm an Indian.
That's-
I'll be stalking account. I'm an Indian. It's true.
Are you able to put?
My name is Tyler.
What's up here?
Really? Facebook Marketplace is probably the primary use for Facebook. It is for me.
That's what's in my bio.
Really?
Bro, I don't use Facebook for anything.
Facebook was originally designed for college students. If you watch The Social Network, it will kind of give you a good history of how Facebook was developed. Facebook now applies more to people over the age of 45 than any other demographic. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, which is owned by Meta, Instagram is typically 25 to 45. Reels are trying to compete with TikTok.
It's never gonna happen.
TikTok actually demonetized the vast majority of its creators. In other words, it's not paying creators on TikTok anymore. There are still some who qualify, but for the vast majority of people who contribute to TikTok, I need you to understand that your TikTok history is available as well. And that basically is how long were you on a video? Did you click on the video? Did you leave a comment? Did you like, love, or hate? And did you share it? Kind of dangerous stuff. Any questions for me? I know we're running out of time.
Teachers, pardon this interruption. We should be able to return to our normal activity at this time. Thank you.
The good news is it's pulled out for drugs.
Yeah, it's true.
The doggies.
They didn't get any.
All right, question time, y'all.
Any questions? Kind of answered.
So how did you end up, well, how,
Guys,
listen,
no. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry.
Not you.
Anyway, how did you get, like, how would you get into what you do? Does that make sense? Like, how did you,
I'll tell you how I got into it.
okay.
The way that I got into it is I wanted to quit teaching. I had a friend who ran a car dealership. He said, look, you seem like a smart enough guy. Why don't you come in and do all the advertising for us and place it? Like an in-house ad agency. I spent $2 million of his money over the course of 2 years learning how to do it. That's not a typical occurrence, right? He kind of gave me carte blanche and said, here's my budget. We need to sell more cars. Make that happen. After 2 years of doing that, a company came and recruited me. They said, well, you seem to be doing really good. Why don't you move over here with us? We'll triple your salary. We've got better benefits. And we'll teach you everything you need to know. And they did, and they paid for all of my higher education. If I was entering the job market today, how would I do it? The first thing I would do is learn Google Analytics. And Google Analytics is the system of tracing all of your digital footprints, of knowing how people interact with the website, and I take all the free courses I could to learn that. Second thing I would learn is search engine optimization. What words trigger a response on a website? What words help place it in front of the right audience? Then I would do search engine marketing, which is paid Google ads. Everything I'm telling you is free. You can learn all of it and get your certifications for nothing, just your time. And then I would probably go a little deeper into Facebook. They have something called, oh God, I can't remember the Facebook because nobody does it anymore. But X or Twitter has Flight Academy. It's a program you can go into and learn how to place ads on Twitter or X. Instagram and Meta have their own platforms. I would listen to every podcast I could on digital advertising and digital marketing. And then I would probably ask for an internship at a local ad agency up in Roanoke. And I would go in there and work for free for 2 or 3 months and just soak in all the knowledge. And then once you feel like you know everything, strike out on your own, start applying for jobs. Find like anybody you know that owns a business and offer to do their social media for free. Put 10 postings up a week. Advertise for them and learn through trial and error. This is something you can't really become a master of just on the fly or by taking classes. I'm taking classes now that are still talking about Foursquare and Yelp. And that look on your face is absolutely accurate. What the hell is Foursquare and Yelp, right? They were popular 10 years ago, but they're not popular now. And I'm paying for college classes, well, I'm not paying for them, the company's paying for them, for material that by the time they start teaching it, it's already out of date. You've got to know that everything that you know about digital media is probably going to be irrelevant by the time you can put it into practice. Right now, I would learn everything I can about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and developing mathematical algorithms. Because that's really where we're going.
Do you have to do math? Well, obviously, I'm sure a little
Not
bit.
math.
But like,
You have to know, I'll tell you, 90% of what I do is asking the right question. Because I use Claude.io or Claude.ai, ChatGPT, Bing Chat, and this new program I have. I don't know if anybody's going to know this, but I love it. When I put together a PowerPoint for you guys, I use something called Tome, T-O-M-E, and I typed in, create a 6-slide PowerPoint that is heavy in graphics and explains first and third party data. And it knocked it out in 2 minutes. I had 6 slides ready to go. Now, here's the kicker. You can use AI to help save time in doing something, but if you don't understand the right question to ask, or if you try to have Claude write a paper for you in APA 7 format and provide you with a list of references, you're going to get caught. Because the Turnitin plagiarism detectors now know the algorithm to use to detect when you're using it. It knows the pattern of language that shows AI. It knows to go back and check your references using the DOI system to find out whether or not you actually used it. I've had a lot of people at Liberty University get kicked out because they thought they could get by having artificial intelligence write their papers, and no.
We had it last semester. We had that subscription PS,
Yeah. I had a student use AI last semester.
but I didn't even have to use this.
And you could read it and say,
I knew it wasn't, well, first I knew it wasn't their writing, and I also saw them using it, so that made it worse.
I thought on Good Guardian, I'm like, you're an
Yeah, me
idiot.
too. During a test.
yeah.
It was like a written response question. I just typed in the response question, and then it just popped up, and copy and paste. I was like, watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I think the big thing now is like Quizly and a lot of the other automated programs are rewording everything to try to make it tougher, but AI is your friend, okay? But it is not the solution to everything in the world. You're not going to get away with overt cheating. So I just really wouldn't bother. Knowing the right question to ask, though, is the most important thing you can figure out, and that goes back to critical thinking. You know, can I say, explain to me how to take a large field of data and narrow down 3 specific traits, right? Or generate a formula for me in an Excel spreadsheet given this data field to yield Y result. That's brilliant. If you can do that, you will blow half the people in my industry out of the water. The majority of people in my industry are over the age of 45 and they don't have a clue. For the last 2 years, all I really did was answer stupid questions. And they're stupid questions not because the question is stupid, but the person answering them was too lazy to look it up themselves. And that's a huge problem. You know how to do the research, know how to find the right answer. If you have a question about how to repair a tractor, what do you have to know? Who made the tractor? What year is the tractor? What's the model number of the tractor? What's the specific problem? And then you can ask that question. But if you say, my tractor's broke, show me how to fix it, I don't think that's going to help. If you say I have a John Deere 5107, it's a 2016, and for some reason I can't get the block heater to work. That's a very specific question. You're going to get a very specific answer. But if you just ask a broad-ended question, you're going to get a crap response back. And if you were to put that into a paper, somebody's going to know almost immediately what the situation is. For my friend the welder up here, right? You know how many different ways there are to weld. And you know how many different materials you have to know how to weld. And you have to know what flux to use on what specific material. It's very complicated. And the fact that you already know that puts you miles ahead of somebody who has not done anything in the welding field at all. In fact, if you go down to Harbor Freight and buy the cheapest welder you can find and just take 2 pieces of iron and stick it together, you're still going to be even further, a third ahead of anybody you go into with. So there's no substitute for experience. And if you have a friend who runs, I don't know, you're on Facebook Marketplace, right? Yeah, or you used to be, or you wanted to be, right? So let's say we're selling that Honda, right? How many pictures do you think he should put up with that Honda on Facebook Marketplace in order to generate the best response? And there is a specific number.
Is it like 8?
10. You need at least 10 pictures. And you know the most important thing people look at on the pictures for Facebook Marketplace? This is the dumbest thing in the world. They want to see the center console, right, to see how big the screen is. They want to see the tires. You can buy tires anywhere. I don't care. If I buy an $8,000 car for $2,000 and the tires are worn out, I can get $500 worth of tires on it. But tires and the center console are the most important thing people look at when they're buying a car.
Well, this is a concept.
Because they want to see if it's got
When
GPS.
I was looking for my car, that was one thing I was looking for, was to see if it had Bluetooth.
They want Bluetooth, they want Apple CarPlay, they want GPS.
I know, but think about the labor. Gotta take it. What do you got out? I have, yeah,
Any
my
other
car doesn't have
questions?
Bluetooth. That's really sad.
All right, guys, let's go. More questions.
What's the most difficult part of your job?
Wait, what was the question?
The most difficult part of my job, from a personal perspective, is when I don't know something I should know. I get really mad at myself. And I have terrible attention deficit disorder. I mean, I actually had to buy a little clock, like a kitchen timer, and tell myself I have to pay attention to this problem for 10 minutes, and then I can go do something else. In my office, I have a PS5, a PS3, a PS2, a PS1, a Nintendo, a Sega Genesis, and I'm talking about the old school NES, an N64, and I have to stop and play games every 10 or 20 minutes to get my brain out of gear. And then I'll set the timer for 10 more minutes. And so for me, it's concentration for any period of time is almost impossible. And also, being asked the same question 5 times in a day drives me insane. So I used to come up with these lists of the most common questions, but I found out that the people who would look at that list are never the people who would ask those questions, right? And sometimes I'll be asked the same question 3 times in the same day by the same person. And I mean, it drives me insane. But what's the trade-off? I get a really good salary, I got incredible benefits, and I work from my living room.
So who's asking you the question?
So we have salespeople, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who are out talking to businesses. And I've had a guy in a car dealership send me like a message saying, hey, can we reach Nissan owners? Yeah, we can reach people who own Nissan. 2 minutes later, what about Mitsubishi? Dude, if I can figure out who owns a Nissan, I can figure out who owns a Mitsubishi. And no lie, 20 minutes later, what about people with bad credit? Yes, I don't need to tell me what you want. It's like,
Can you make pizza?
yeah,
Can you make pepperoni pizza?
yeah,
Can you put extra cheese on my pizza?
yes, just tell me what you want on your pizza. And that's
That was a really good voice.
thank you, that's a lot of my life. That's tough, and the ADD thing, boy, man, whew. There are a lot of times when I just quit working and take a nap.
I'm listening a lot to it. It's just, you just start to wonder, you're insane, or they are, or you both are, and it's just,
Yeah, and I don't want to take meds. I don't want to take medication, so I take naps.